Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the second video devoted to water. As you know from the first video that I've made on water purification and some fun testing, we did some nice lab work, I chose to distill my water that goes into drinking, to preparing some smoothies and so on, because I rarely cook food. And this video would not be made if I didn't run into the problems with distillation. So basically I'm using Mega Home, kind of upscale distiller that does not have any potentially reactive parts that could come in contact with water, and that's why I chose this model. And I'm using activated charcoal sachet in the nozzle, so all these details you can watch in my first video. I'll put the link in the description if you're interested, not to interrupt you with clicking on this thing. So I actually, after about 3 weeks of flawless operation of the distiller, nearly flawless because that issue was kind of creeping up, I started generating water that tasted much worse than the water from the faucet, much worse than the water from the pitcher filter. And I was really puzzled because the taste of the water that was coming out of the distiller going through the activated charcoal sachet filter tasted just like if you boil the faucet water, and you know how if you have harsh water there are different flakes, precipitation happening. So if you taste this water, or even if you grab one of the precipitated flakes and chew on them, that's how my distilled water tasted. And if you look at, I tried finding the solutions, I tried finding the answers online, I started searching. My distilled water tastes bad, but the only thing that I could find on the English resources, I then moved on to looking through Russian resources as well, and actually that's where I saw this problem described by some people, but neither of them provided any solution. Many of them just gave up. I only found that how to make distilled water taste better. If your distilled water tastes too flat due to the absence of electrolytes, you can try putting like a grain of salt or adding a little bit of baking soda into your collection box. I'm like, or they also sell the mineral packs. So something like powders that you can add to it to make. I don't want flavored water. I want fucking the most pristine, the cleanest water possible. I want it to be blunt. I want it to be flat. I want it to be very, very plain. That's what I want. I don't want any secondary flavor to it. So that's what I was looking for, but there was no answers whatsoever. I went to the support. Actually, support of Mega Home is very, very helpful. I went to the UK person. I contacted them, and basically the next day, given the time zone difference, the next day or so, they replied to me and they gave me a very extensive email, because I sent them an extensive email because I'm a researcher. So I don't just ask questions, I give suggestions, and then I inquire what could be possibly improved or what I could have possibly done wrong. So I received the suggestions from them to literally, I do all proper maintenance. I clean my distiller when the problem started popping up. I started cleaning it with citric acid. Let me show you the bottle real quick. I started cleaning it with citric acid I wanted to repeat like what the cosmetics makeup artists do. It doesn't work. So basically it's a citric acid. Just trust me, you won't see the writing on the tag. So I cleaned it after every single time. The taste would persist. It was just disgusting. So I didn't know what was happening. And they suggested that I try using 2 charcoal filters instead of 1. But if you open this, only one of them will fit in, barely. So this would not work. Then they were like, fill it with bottled water. then fill it halfway through. Try distilling only half of its capacity. But man, I'm not going to devote my life to distillation. You know, I treat healthy lifestyle as the tool that carries me through my life and provides me the best quality of life. I don't want to devote my life into maintaining myself. So basically, it's just not for me. And despite the fact that I tried the methods that they suggested, the solution was absolutely unexpected to me. And the solution was in the charcoal filters. In general, when we talk about distillation, the use of additional filtering system already sounds bizarre, because you want to condense your water, the most clean water possible, on the condensation line and get it. However, volatile organic compounds that evaporate from the water and that can be of different nature, that can have the same or lower temperature of evaporation, they off-gas here. And actually, if I run the air purifier right next to the distiller when it's running, my air purifier maxes out on volatile organic compounds. And my first attempt to fix the problem with the disgusting taste was to boil the water before I pour it in the distiller. Because I thought, okay, if this is something related to the VOCs, even though the taste of the water implied that it's something metallic, so it's not VOCs, but I still decided to try that. But because it's something that makes through the system. I tried to boil the water before I put it in the distiller, and I tried to boil it very thoroughly to potentially get rid of the VOCs. So this method didn't work at all. And then I also thoroughly cleaned the whole system with citric acid. It also didn't do the magic. So essentially, what I found to work the best, even though it's very counterintuitive, how come do you need to use additional filters when you're producing the rainwater, when it's the cleanest water, the purest water on earth that you can possibly produce? It's like an unpleasant thing, an unpleasant note that is associated with water distillation. But what I found is that if I thoroughly rinse the charcoal filter sachet before I put it in the nozzle, I rinse it very, very thoroughly. I nearly soak it in water, in distilled water, before I put it in. Of course, it's like a recursive process, but the purer the water that you're using for that, the better, because you're not exhausting the absorptivity of the granules. So I did that, and I tried to squish, to like put this filter as densely as possible. And I started reusing the filters, because before I was putting the new filter every time I was running the distiller. So this was my hack to remove that disgusting odor. And actually then I started analyzing, backtracking what happened since I replaced the charcoal filters after every distillation. I noticed that my odor started happening around the time when I switched the charcoal filters to the bigger ones. And what I think it was that instead of seeping through the granules, it was probably distributing more on the outsides. It was going more through the paper, so it was not absorbing all the substances that were residual in the condensed water. In general, for handling the volatile compounds, there is a vent somewhere. I don't know where this hole is, but they swear that there is a hole somewhere inside for venting the VOCs out of the system, and I can trust that because I have air purifier that tells me that VOCs are through the roof when this thing is working. So actually, on the side note, open the window if you're running the water distillers. I don't know how devastating the effect is, but I will give you some bonus knowledge in the end of this video about the alternative water distiller, because I haven't showed it yet, and I harvested some very interesting information about it from the support. So first, yes, I solved this problem by using the wet charcoal filter. And this, let's see, this one is after probably was washed with, oh my gosh, it smells just like it tasted before. This is after probably 4 or 5 distillations, so it's actually the time to clean it. So we will now put some citric acid into it, right as it is. And now we'll be witnessing a very beautiful reaction, even without any thermal effect because the concentration is so high. So our reaction is not thermodynamically limited, it's now, you see, it starts bubbling a little bit. So it produces now a very nice foam, so I will heat it up eventually, and here we go. So that's the solution. If your distilled water tastes bad, please use my method and I hope it will work for you. Basically just thoroughly rinse and densify the charcoal filter. And you can even, if you have still residual flavor after the first run, you can discard that water and you can run it again. I noticed that every time you run water through the filter, up until it's time to replace it, the recommended time for replacement is about 28 days, water tastes better and better and better. Now I have no problem whatsoever. So when my water tasted bad, I measured the total dissolved solids in it. And this is the total dissolved solids meter. It doesn't require any calibration unlike the ORP meter. And now we'll do some comparative tests of distilled water that's here. This is fresh batch, I made it today. Then we'll do tests on filtered water. This is Brita filter. I had to discard my previous pure filter, and actually when my water started tasting bad, I switched temporarily to the filtered water, and my pure filter also crashed. So I had total abandonment of any water supply for myself, and pure filter started producing water like I got it from the pond, really. And so I had to discard and I had to buy Brita, fresh one. And Brita filters are surprisingly fast. So I don't know, we will test the TDS of this water as well. So far it hasn't given me any problem, but I don't use it for drinking. I mostly use it for rinsing my vegetables after I wash them. That's pretty much it. It's like my backup. If I run out of this water suddenly, right? If I just use a lot and I don't notice or I forget to set distillation that night, I can use filtered water as well. So we'll test that. So I really don't trust these guys. So to me, I treat them as I just drank the faucet water. I would really prefer to make tea out of them, just to boil them, to evaporate different crab that can evaporate from them, and then drink them. And plus, with that pond flavor, it seems to me like I started growing some seaweed inside, and some micro algae. It's algae, right? It's called algae. Some microalgae inside this filter, because that's what taste implied. So I really was weary about it, and I would prefer to drink it only thermally treated. So now I have 3 glasses of water, and let me fill them with 3 different types of water. First glass will be the distilled water. We don't need much. Then we will do filtered water. And then we will do the faucet water. I will use cold water, okay, such that we do not collect anything extra, because the hotter the water, the more reactive it is with whatever precipitates on the pipes. Actually, let's do both. Let's do cold water and hot water and compare. So this is cold water from the faucet, and this, let's put it on max. And now we'll test the hot water as well. So let me move this out of the way. The water is warming up and filter goes away. Let's just clean up the view a little bit. So this will be for our hot water. It doesn't heat up. I guess my neighbors are taking a shower all together, like all of them at the same time, because we somehow have this. hot water scarcity at some specific hours, you know. So, oh, it's heating up now. So, distilled, filtered, cold faucet, and hot faucet water. Yeah, it's pleasantly hot, and you see, it started fogging the glass. So it's hot. So let us start with the cleanest water first. And I measured before 9 ppm when it was stinking. Now when it was less stinky, but still had some residual flavor, it was 2 ppm. Ideally, distilled water must be about less than 0.5. So now it's at 0. You can see here, I probably will just walk to you with the readings. This is 0, and now we will start with the purest water. We're shaking this a little bit. Okay, so this is very upsetting to me. In a way, I'll put hold. It's holding. It's 2. Can you see it? Yes, it's 2, it's not 5, right? So, this is our distilled water. So it reads 2. Okay, now we'll test the filtered water. We don't need to rinse anything because I zeroed it out. Here it's 0. And now we'll be testing filtered water. Oops, I gotta press hold when it's inside. So this is filtered water, this is Brita. 145 ppm. What's better? Up close. So this is our filtered water. Let's rinse in the distilled water now. It's 0 again. And now we're testing cold faucet water. Let's do honest experiment. Let's shake it, because after shaking, actually the readings changed. So I shook it, and initially it was 150. That's why I decided to shake it. I noticed that I'm not running the experiment properly. Now it is 171 ppm. 171. This is cold faucet water. I'm rinsing it again in the distilled water just to remove any possible residue. And although we're going from clean to dirty, and now let's do the warm water. Wow, that's unexpected. Actually, I don't know if actually this experiment might be dirty, because if TDS is based off of the conductivity, so temperature can actually screw it up. But this bastard measures 234 ppm. So 234 ppm. Hot water versus 170 in the cold water, and what's more surprising to me is that Brita only lowers it by 20 ppm. So that's how it goes. We don't know what's in our water, because I haven't done any expertise yet, and I potentially will. So again, subscribe to my channel, give me likes, comment on the video, but promote the distribution of this video such that I have more resources to do such fun stuff and do some expertise on the capital area New York State water. But 140, 150, and 230 ppm. Although, on a good note, of course, this is much better than in some countries, than in some regions, because this contamination of water is considered in the healthy range. So we can consider ourselves lucky, whoever lives in these regions. However, we don't know what this TDS is promoted by, which particles, which compounds, which ions. And distillation seems to do the job, and I'm not sure what it is, because you see I'm running it through the filter. Is it particles of charcoal. What is that? I have no clue. Visibly, this water looks very clean. It doesn't have any flakes, nothing like that. And it doesn't have the metallic taste anymore after I started densifying and washing the charcoal filters. So it doesn't have that disgusting taste anymore. But it apparently is still 4 times worse than real pure water would be. Another factor of this experiment would be if I rinse this glass multiple times thoroughly, or even wash it maybe with citric acid before pouring the water. I don't know how much it would contribute, but if there is any precipitation from the previous washing, because there are some salts. There are some salts that came from washing in an ordinary faucet water. So those might be contributing factors as well. So we can repeat this experiment after I rinse this out. Maybe we can give it some rinse with vinegar a little bit. I don't have apple cider vinegar, so let's just do it, I guess. It will take just a small quantity of it. I'll just rinse it and then rinse it with distilled water. So we'll just take this jug and give it a couple of, lab standard is triple rinse, but since we're doing, let's just do triple rinse. Why should we go fancy? If number of ppms goes up, then we will know that it's due to the vinegar contamination. But if it goes down, then we'll know that our glass is actually contributing into polluting it. So then we also need to rinse the TDS meter real quick. So I'm just using this water for it. And now I will stick it in. Yeah, I contaminated it. So now it reads 3 ppms. And okay, let's give it another rinse because I'm curious. So I don't want it to be misleading us. So it's 2. So whatever was on the glass surface didn't do anything, or I need to give another rinse to remove the vinegar things. Or another thing it might be encountering is the precision of the TDS meter. It's declared to measure as low as 0.5 ppm, but you know how it goes. So the precision can go, it can go like noise, less noise, and then goes linear. So it can be that as well. I don't know. I would need to test it with multiple distillation procedures perhaps, and against numerous tools. Ideally, I would buy probably 3 of those and measure with 3 of those. And now, quick remark of about what I learned from the support from Megahome. I will need to dive into my. These are all clean, so just put them real quick. Buddy. This is from H2O Labs, and this is one of the biggest suppliers of distillers. And I read this one is very popular, and if you go to Amazon, it has either it's a bestseller or it's Amazon choice, one of those. And this one is nuts. It's a nightmare of a distiller because when it works, it stinks like plastic. So it off-gases a bunch of whatever, volatile organics, and the main problem with it, the major problem, there are 2 of them. One is on the surface, the second one is what I learned from the support. So first gossip that I learned from the support is that H2O Labs, their distillers are produced by Megahome. So this company is an offspring of Megahome. So they possess the information about it. And if we now go here, they supply the VOC filters, charcoal filters, in the form of those pucks. And I actually inquired whether Megahome would make the same pucks for their distillers, for their legacy stainless steel ones. And they told me that actually in H2O labs, these things are glued with a glue that is not food grade. So they're actually not intended for use as for making drinking water. However, many people use them for drinking water. So don't buy this, and if you bought this, use this water for watering your plants and use it in the iron and other washing supplies. So this was the information that I learned from this report. So this one is not food grade. And then the other thing which completely reverted me from using it for food, drinking, and for making food, was that inside here, there is this chamber. Can I lift it? This thing is made of ABS plastic. And ABS plastic is food grade plastic. It's actually a safe material when it comes to kids' toys, dog toys, and disposable dishes. However, this plastic is not thermally stable. And if you saw that thing, this is the heating element zone. So this plastic comes in contact with the heating element, and ABS plastic starts softening, melting, which means that it can start losing its molecules at temperatures below boiling temperatures of water, so below 100 Celsius. I don't know how much it is in Fahrenheit. Never needed to use it in this context. So I don't know how to assemble it back, so I will just hold it. It's a very flimsy construction. So this plastic is either leaching into the water that is being produced, which of course you can argue that, okay, there is the charcoal filter, it should all go get filtered, but the problem is that it's likely fortified with some chemical compounds that promote its thermal stability, which unlike pure ABS plastic are not food grade and likely are carcinogenic. So I would discourage you completely from using this model of distiller. It's H2O Labs. If you go to Amazon, it's one of the top ones that you will see in the search. I would discourage you from using this one because it's not a food grade distiller, apparently, due to multiple reasons. And actually, I left a review on the Mega Home distiller that I'm currently using, that I have been using. And I left a review about the disgusting taste, but I want to update it and give this advice, such that if you find yourself generating water that tastes metallic, just try using the washed, pre-rinsed, very densely packed charcoal filters. This helps. And try reusing them. Reusing them with each use, you'll get better and better tasting water. However it works, so it collects better. It collects, the denser the particles, the less you get alternative paths for water to escape, to go not through the granules but around the granules in some way, the better tasting water you'll produce. So this is all information that I wanted to share with you today regarding the water distillation, and I hope it will be helpful for some of you, because these things can really seem like a scam. You can get disheartened about all these attempts because you think that you're getting the best for yourself, but it turns out that you're getting something weird. And what do? Do you compromise? Because some resources say that it's normal to feel metallic taste after distillation because that's some metal precipitates on your tongue. What a bullshit. No. What a bullshit it is. It's really what comes from the water. You don't need to be a scientist or anybody to compare the smells of the residue and smells of the water that comes out of it. So it's crystal clear that it's something that comes from the distiller. So just use better filtration method. And yes, it's counterintuitive to use filtration on the distilled water, but this is how it works, and we proved that it really purifies your water compared to the filter or faucet. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments, like, subscribe. Thank you.